The dish I'm making today is a merquén spice rub pork chop with beet jus and manchego grits. You may have stopped in your tracks when I said beet jus, and I'll explain to you why I've made this decision. The sweetness of beets, the merquén, which is a spice mixture which comes to us from Chilean cuisine. So I'm gonna have this smoky spice mixture going onto this big meaty chop with this juice that I'm gonna get from the beets. And so in this particular dish, these guys are our dance partners. This is Fred and this is Ginger, all right? So let's get started. Spice mixtures have a commonality to them. They almost always have some sugar, and sugar is a dominant aspect of a typical spice rub, as this one here. Then salt and pepper, and what you do as far as salt, and what you do as far as pepper is up to you to some extent, but you're always cooking for other people, so don't overwhelm them because these are very strong. Now the other thing that we're gonna pay a lot of love to is the merquén. It's called merquén spice pork chop. So we want to notice that merquén. Now I'm just mixing it all up, making sure that I'm not going to have some pocket of salt that's going to be all in one place. I'm going to look at this, see that I've got a good composition. I do. Now I just simply come over here to the plate. Got these chops that we had cut for us because they were not thick enough for our crew. We want nice meaty chops for the griddle, and go ahead and just smear that on there. Now this is called a spice brine. You've probably heard of a wet brine. Oftentimes the first time people do this is the wet brine thing is Thanksgiving with the birds, but a spice brine is a lot easier, and a dry brine like this one just works magic. It permeates the meat and gives it a great complexity of flavors. Go ahead and coat all sides of it. If we had the time, I'd put this in the refrigerator probably 5 or 6 hours and let it cure, which is the actual word for that. You see, we went through a good amount of that stuff, but it's delicious. The only thing you don't ever want to do is use this and then try to use this down here again, because once you put the chop on there, that's it. End of story. You got to throw it away after that. But really poke it on there. And then if you can, let it hang out. We're gonna let it hang out for a while while we go on to make the beet jus. Like many people, beets were not something I had as a kid on purpose. It was later in life when we started going to juice bars and having different elixirs from these juice bars. And beet juice was a complete revelation. I had no idea. I thought surely somebody had put sugar in this mixture, but no, that is not the situation at all. Beets contain a heroic amount of sweetness. So just go ahead and get that ugly root end off right there. It might be a little bit more bitter. You don't really have to, trim it, and peel it, because it's going to go into this powerful juice extractor. This thing is a major machine. You can use it for lots of different things. And cooking, as well as, of course, every day in the morning, if you want to have carrot juice, ginger juice. This is an investment, but it's a powerful machine. I've had mine at home for 10 years and it's still working beautifully. This is just Mother Nature coming right out into this elixir of power, sweetness, goodness. And we're gonna take this and make a sauce out of it, a beet jus, if you will. And so the juice has been extracted. All this other stuff here, that goes into the mulch. So I'm gonna take a good amount of this thing. I'm gonna save myself enough for breakfast tomorrow morning, and maybe split it with one of the kids wandering around. And then I'm gonna make a mixture here that is going to contain other elements of sweetness, molasses. And to counter and complement the molasses, I've got some beautiful vinegar, and then I've got some spices in the form of pimenton, and then I've got some chicken stock. And the chicken stock is what is going to give the sauce the body we associate with sauce making. This is all going to go onto the fire. I'm going to bring it down. It's going to take maybe 20 minutes or so. And it's going to get this viscosity, this consistency that we associate with the beautiful kind of sauce making throughout the world. Honestly, another thing I didn't grow up with was grits, but I am a full-fledged fan now. So it is such a simple thing and such a delicious thing. It's such a nurturing thing. So let's go ahead and get some milk in the pan. Well, grits are another thing that comes to us from corn. Corn is so incredibly important to the civilizations of the American Indians and the Indians that lived in the central part of America, that the growth of corn was actually a way of measuring time itself. The children of these civilizations were sometimes called the children of the corn. And so you'll find very few ingredients throughout the entire arc of history more valuable and revered as corn. Grits are an element of that. Milk, grits, butter, salt, and some time and some heat, and soon enough, we're gonna have them. It's been about 5 to 10 minutes. Let's not be too specific when it comes to time. Pork chops have gone through a transformation though. This is the dry brining I'm talking about. What happens is the salt draws the moisture right up out of the chops, and that, with the sugar and the merquén, is going to caramelize on the griddle. It's going to need a little bit of vaccination oil. These chops have a nice amount of fat, but you don't want them to stick. We want to sear. I'm gonna let that work for maybe a minute before I slow them down, but I want to get a nice char. I'm not gonna disturb them. It's go time for these grits, so let's get it off the fire. Come over here. We're looking for that bubble and splat that makes the sound of a splat. So you're getting an oral, A-U-R-A-L, indication of when the grits are ready. So I grew up in corn country in Illinois, and smelling this corn and this big display like this, and that just takes me straight back to being a kid and going to corn roasts. And I'm telling you, there is just nothing better. And this is the bicolored corn here, which is beautiful to the visual, but it's also an indication of sweetness. Did you do this when you were a kid? Did you go out to the fields and pull the corn off the cob and eat it raw? Of course, my grandmother said if you did that, you'd get the collywobbles. I didn't know what it meant, but I know I didn't want it. Yeah, that's why you pull it back, because sometimes you're gonna get, unfortunately, this is nature, so there's gonna be times when it's just not perfect. They understand it. Thank goodness that corn grows beautifully in Florida like it did in Illinois, because I just couldn't imagine being deprived of summer corn. You don't have to do this part, but it's kind of nice, especially when you're in the middle of corn season like we are, and getting this beautiful, beautiful bicolored corn yesterday. The sound of this is like the soundtrack of my childhood. In my family, in the summer times, we'd sit around and kind of picnic chairs and with a grocery bag and shuck the corn before dinner. My mom would be busy inside. My grandmother might be out with us telling us another tale of growing up in New York City. Now we're gonna grate some cheese that comes to us from Spain, manchego. It's become a lot more popular in the last 20, 25 years, and for good reason. This is a cheese that sort of sits between cheddar and Swiss in that department of mildness. It's the kind of things the kids love too, and in the grits, it's gonna be fantastic. When you think the chops are where you want them to be, just slide them over to the cooler part of the griddle, let them hang out over there. They're pretty forgiving since they're the big, thick piece of meat, not the breakfast chops. One of the nice things about griddle cooking is that cleanup is really simple. All you gotta do is push it to the back and you're good to go. So you wanna roll that fat and get that crispy textural magic going on. So yeah, you do pick it up and you look to get a good grip on it. You can see the fat right there. and just get it crispy, man, because you're gonna get your steak knife, you're gonna cut through that, and I'll tell you what, the best part of the whole pork chop, and for my money, is that part right there where you got the fat and the meat meeting. We're at that magic moment, so let's plate up. I'm gonna make you one beautiful entree. You wanna pick the most gorgeous side of the chop. There's no upside down, right side up, just look for the color. Here we're at that place where the sauce has reduced just to where I want it to. And you just want to check it, make sure it looks nice and syrupy. I'm gonna let this spoon sit over here for a moment. The chop is on the plate. One of the artisanal products I love working with, the Moromi soy sauce, I had shipped in. The grits, this is just soulful country cooking, the kind of thing that people love everywhere. Now I've got the chop, it's been resting on the plate, and I'm just gonna drizzle this sweet beet reduction down, and then against the smokiness of the merquén and the sweetness of the beets, the beet jus, I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit of this, what I sometimes call complicated salt. Soy sauce is salt with a college education. The goal that I wanted to present for you was this language going back and forth, this dialogue, this conversation between the smokiness, the sweetness, the meatiness, and that's what I hope we've done. The moment of truth has arrived. Let's see if our thinking meets reality. Like I told you, I'm going to go right to where that beautiful edge of fat is, where the spice rub is, and I'm going to taste. So happy. You never know what flavors you're going to find until you start digging, or in this case, start juicing. Because who would have thought that this gnarly, bumpy thing that we pull out of the earth would contain such a revelation of sweetness and grandeur? Some might say that this is their favorite part of the whole thing. I don't know, just as long as you've got a favorite part. Wow. Wow. That beet juice, you could bottle that and retire. Amazing.